And welcome to Between the Lions, a podcast hosted by Beaumaris Lions Club. This morning, our guest is Emily Rose Hill, a social media coach, and she is going to demystify social media for us. Enjoy. A lot of our club members feel that actually the way to build up community and relationships is face-to-face over time, and they don't think that they should be involved in any form of social media.
Yeah, I mean, that's valid, right? Like we come back to always the business strategy, what the business needs, what the goals are, and then we position and use social channels in order to support them. So if a business is operating in bricks and mortar or face-to-face, or, you know, it's operating perfectly, we wouldn't necessarily recommend that we would need to add social media for the sake of it. I think a lot of people, because the industry drives a lot of hype and FOMO anyway, it's kind of how my industry or our industry operates. A lot of times people think they've got this fear of missing out when really they don't, and they don't need it. So I think it's good to normalize that. But yeah, I think it's important to figure out the business problem and then work out, okay, where can social media help? So for example, like if you wanted to acquire more customers or you wanted to get more people, then maybe social media channels could be helpful. But, you know, it depends on the challenge. I think, yeah, it's always coming back to what the business problem is and then how can each of these individual social profiles help do that.
Well, I always think that perhaps the social media gives you more reach. You know, our clubs in general are quite small, and we want to be out in the community and we want to be seen, because if people don't know that we're there, they don't know that they can come to us for help. And so that's one of the reasons why I think we've been looking at social media. And maybe there is a way of building community online that extends your reach, because if you've only got a couple of people in the club, that's only so many meetings you can manage in a month.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's no cheaper way to advertise or reach people than social media marketing, because it's free to set up the profile. It then requires time to connect with other businesses in the community or other people in the community manually, right? By like following them or liking them or etc. So it is effective, but it's only effective if the strategy is there. So it's only effective if the person goes, okay, we're going to use Facebook to create a bigger community, and we're going to do that by connecting with local businesses, local people in the area to get them to join. But there's no point in saying, oh, we want a Facebook page if there's no overarching strategy there. And I think a lot of businesses feel like they have to have the Facebook logo and they have to have the Instagram logo and maybe they have to have the TikTok logo. But you ask them, like, why? Like, why? And I think if everyone's super pointy on the why, then I think it's fine. It's like, cool, we're investing in Facebook. We're going to cultivate an online community of people in our area, and we're going to do that by X, Y, Z. Then everyone's aligned and everyone sees the value in it. Whereas if you've kind of got this like weird Facebook group that's just like sat there that no one's really looking at, it makes everyone feel anxious. You're like, why have I got this? Like, it's so weird. No one's dedicating time to it. No one's clear on why they're doing it. Then it just turns into like this kind of awkward kind of elephant in the room. So it's about getting really clear on why we're doing it. And I think what you just said, like, is really valid, right? Like, we're doing it to extend our reach of our club and to make more people aware that we exist, and we're going to build this community in an online space. It's like tick, 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 tick. Everyone's super aligned to why we're doing it. And then it's just that kind of niggly bit of like, how? And what? Well, no, because that's interesting, right? Because it's like, that sounds great in theory, but what do I actually need to do each day to cultivate that?
Well, that was going to be my very next question. How should one set about this? Assuming I know a lot of our clubs have got Facebook pages.
Yeah.
I think one or two might have groups. I'm not even aware of what the distinction is and why would you use a group rather than a page. But we do have them. So what would be the building blocks of the strategy if the point is really to build community and contact?
So the first piece would be making people aware that they can join these communities. So if people have got really strong in-person relationships on the ground, the first piece is to be like, hey, join our Facebook community to stay up to date with XYZ. So we want to get the people in the bucket, in the group, so that they're all in one place. So if people have got really good in-person relationships, that's the first piece. Like just in conversation, hey, don't forget to join our Facebook group, or in like a newsletter, or in any sort of communication. Hey, like the Facebook group is there, and this is the reason to why you would want to join it. So whether it's updates or whether it's to stay up to date with what we're doing, news, that's important. Like, why is the person joining the community? What value is it to the person? So there's like a little bit of work that needs to be done probably individually around what's the point of this group? Is it just news, or is it, other pieces? So if you've got good in-person relationships, tell people, join it. If you want to make people aware that aren't on the ground, new people, what you can do is two things. So you can go onto other groups and other pages and say, join our group for this. Or you can like other people's content from the page. So they're getting a notification. Oh, this page has liked this. This is cool. Who is that? I want to join. But the key piece, and I've said it before, is what is the reason for the group? Because no one's going to join if you're not clear on the reason for the group. So being really robust in this group delivers this information, this is the purpose of it, and then getting people in by telling them in person, hey, join, or going out digitally to other profiles and saying, hey, join our group for this. And being, everyone always thinks, why do I have to tell them the reason that they're going to join? It's like it's a really sad learning that I've had over the last decade of doing this stuff is people want stuff that's going to serve them, So what can each of the clubs offer that's of use or of benefit to people, of service to people, that actually is useful? And I think that's really important, because once you've got that, then it flows, because it all makes sense. Obviously, the people in the community want to join this group because of X or Y. Yeah.
And you say group rather than page, just talking Facebook. I'm picking your brains here.
No, you can, totally. Look, they're both very different. We have seen a higher uptake in group creation on Facebook for a couple of reasons. People are becoming more private as time goes on. So a page is very broadcast driven. So, publishers or retail shops would have a page because they're broadcasting information.
They do not.
So it's less community led. Whereas, a netball team or, a club would potentially want to be slightly more private, slightly more personal, slightly more community led. So I think, look, it depends on the business, doesn't it? It depends on, again, what we're trying to achieve. But I think if you're trying to cultivate community and have one-on-one relationships and use the internet to kind of add a rocket to that, I think groups can feel more personal and can feel more engaging. People feel more inclined to share because it's less public.
Okay. it's no more difficult to set up a group than a page.
They're the same.
And they're the same.
You still, once you can set up a group and a page, right? But you still need to make people aware that the group or page exists. Like, you still need to get people to join the group or page.
Yeah.
Like, I think it comes down to knowing your audience and what your audience want. And it sounds like for this, it's community. It's a safe space that people would join. And for that, it seems to make more sense to me to invest in a group, like a private group, than it does into a public page that's open. But it's subjective, and it depends again on what we're trying to achieve. Like, if you're trying to achieve community building and intimacy, we go group. If you're trying to achieve mass reach, we go page. And I think it's important not to get your knickers in a twist over what you're trying to achieve, because you can kind of social media can be used to achieve so much that then people get really confused. It's like, oh, I want to reach loads of people, but I also want to drive community. So then, like, cultivate community. So then what I would say is have a page for your mass reach, and then a private community where you drive people to once they're members. So then you've got two pages, both serving different objectives.
But what you're really saying is there's no shortcut through this. You only embark on this if you know why you want to do it.
Yes.
You have to be very clear up front. Everybody's got a Facebook page, so I should have one.
Nothing is automated. Nothing, and none of it is quick. None of it. Like, I first got into social media when I set up a dog walking business when I was at university 10 years ago to pay off my student loan. And it took a year just to build 10,000 followers. And every day I was going in and I was spending an hour, 2 hours on cultivating community. There was so much time spent in really focused time. And I think the problem with social media marketing is that everybody wants it, but not everybody dedicates the time to it. And I compare it to going to the gym, right? It's like, if you want to be a bodybuilder, you are lifting those weights every day. You are going to the gym, you are lifting the weights. You don't see any immediate return, but in kind of a year, 2 years, 3 years, you suddenly see your muscles, they're really growing. So social media is similar to that. Like, it requires the consistency, it requires the focus, it requires that. And I think if businesses don't see the value in it and can't commit to that, don't do it. Because
sorry, I interrupted you, but that really is my next question was, if you've decided to embark on this, how much time should you be spending to be serious about it?
Look, I think starting with 15 minutes a day is
every day.
Every day, 15 minutes a day. As your community grows, it's going to require more time, obviously, because there'll be more messages, there'll be more comments, there'll be more engagement. And I think we forget this. Like, people forget it. It's like humans. It's like one-on-one interaction, right? Like you said this at the beginning. It's like, we've got these amazing relationships in person. How were they built? They were probably built through many a conversation. All social media is taking that we do offline and putting it online. So you have to dedicate the time, in the same way that you would offline, online. So you start at 15 minutes a day and then you creep up. So for example, I've got 11,000 people that follow me on LinkedIn, and I spend an hour a day cultivating that community. I have messages, I have comments. I spend an hour every day, but there's 11,000 people there, right? That's a lot. Like, imagine 11,000 people in a room. Like it's a huge amount of people. And even if you've got 100 people in the group or even 20 people in the group, like you need to cultivate those connections, you know? You can't just expect them to just be there and talk to you if you don't talk to them.
If you don't talk back, yes.
It's like it needs commitment and time. But I also think this is why it comes back to the strategy, right? If it's not part of your business strategy and if you don't need it, don't do it. Don't do it.
So yes, you'd have to think really hard about why you're wanting to do it, because there is this huge commitment. So it's not only time. Another part of it is what I'm finding is trying to generate content.
Oh, it's exhausting.
It is. That in itself takes a lot of time. Do you have any tips in that space?
Yeah. So look, it comes back when you're really clear on the strategy, when you're really clear on why people are here, content creation becomes so much easier because you're not in the daily like, ooh, what should I post today? It's like the ideation is the ball ache. The ideation is the bit that takes up so much time. Whereas if you're really clear, and I'll use my business as an example, and what I do as an example because it's super simple. It's like people follow me for social media tips. It's valuable to them. They like it. They find it useful. So all I need to deliver is a social media tip a day. And the gang, the community are happy because they're getting what they want. So obviously, social media tips can be created and delivered in lots of amazing ways. We could do video, we could do meme, we could do all of these things. But in the early days, all I did was type a tip and deliver it because that's all my community were expecting. And I knew that they wanted it. So again, back to the why, back to the strategy. Why are people following this page? What do they want? Do they want updates? Do they want to get to know the team better? Do they want to, whatever it is? And actually being really laser focused on that makes the content so much easier because you're actually objectively delivering what the people want. You're not guessing because you've got your reason to why someone follows the community group. And I would recommend in the early days when you're trying to get into the groove that it is super practical and super helpful and super obvious to why someone would find benefit from that. And then once you're in the groove and more people are there, you'll be more creatively inspired to try other things. But start simple, lower the expectation, be super practical with what you're delivering that's actually useful. And then once you're in a groove, more ideas will come. But I think a lot of people in my industry are kind of selling these like overcomplicated plans around, content pillars and all the rest of it. And I don't back it personally. I just think, what's the reason to why someone follows this page? What can we deliver that's useful? That is it. And then...
Sorry, interrupted again. But I mean, that's really so important, isn't it? Because I know when I'm posting, I've been thinking the other way around. I'm going, I need to push out something. I haven't been thinking, what would my community want to hear from me and what can I offer them? I've just been going, I need to tell them what we're doing. That kind of...
Yeah. It's honestly, the saddest realization is that actually, and it sounds awful saying this, but like people don't care about you.
Oh,
sad. It's so sad. But like people care about the value you're delivering them. And that's helpful when you're creating content because you're always looking at it through the lens of, is this helpful to the 20, 200, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 people? Is this what they want? And that's like a head flip. And I think when you start looking at it like that, your engagement goes through the roof because you're of service to these people that are following, and you're not wafty. You're not wafty because you're super clear with what they want. You know your audience really well. You know your community really well. You're really clear on why they follow you, and then you just deliver on that.
And then for those people who would like to do more than just a Facebook page, what is the value of, say, an Instagram, a Twitter, a TikTok?
Well, it comes, what are we trying to achieve? So the different platforms are good for different things, and it's important to get clear on them. So TikTok is a short form video platform. People go there to be entertained. So if you're going to invest in a TikTok, you're going to need some budget to create video or be a creator yourself. That's the first thing. You also are going to need to focus on entertaining people as you or I used to watch TV. Yeah, so that is literally TikTok. A lot of, that's that. Insta is similar to Facebook in the sense it's hyper niche community led. So it's, where a lot of clubs, a lot of businesses build communities around their brands and funnel them off to purchase something. I think picking platforms is important, but also level of investment and budget is important, because I think a lot of people launch a YouTube channel or launch a TikTok. They don't have any budget for video. And I'm like, well, it's not going to work, is it? Or they launch a Twitter and they don't have anyone to write the tweets. It's like, well, there's no point doing it. So I think it's just being really considered with why, where the audience is, what you're trying to achieve. And I think that's important, actually. I didn't say that before. TikTok skews very young. So TikTok skews very kind of Gen Z-esque. Facebook skews slightly older. So that kind of helps define, okay, where should I go? But it's about being so clear and really pointy, in my opinion, on why we're investing in it, what we want out of it, and then allocating the time and resource to make it happen. And yeah.
I think that's also really important, is you have to be prepared to put the time into it, because I'm discovering that, generating content it's like almost getting onto a treadmill, because you have to just keep doing it almost every day. You have to be doing something. And so if you started it as a little hobby and I'll put some pictures out every now and then, it doesn't seem to work that way.
Yeah. For the first 3 months that I started posting online, no one liked any posts.
The feeling?
It's horrendous. Now I get between 200 and 300 likes a post, but that's a year on of every day.
Every day.
And the first bit is really soul destroying. You're just I've put my heart. But look, that's also why keep it simple at the beginning. Get clear. No, not many people are going to see it in the early days. So keep it simple, keep it repeatable, keep it value-based, build a community around that, because the more consistent you are, the more the computers will serve your content. So they're called algorithms. It's just a wanky word for computer. It's a computer system that ranks, and every time you post, you get a gold star. Think of it like that. So you want to keep posting, because if you keep posting, the computer is in the back going, this page posted this day, this page posted this day, this page posted this day. And it's helping you crawl up the ranking ladder. So consistency is really important. is just soul destroying at the beginning.
and just again, it sort of emphasizes if you're going to embark on it, you have to be prepared to put the time into it.
Yeah, it's like anything.
Yes, when you thought, I don't know, when I started, I thought, it's the easy one.
It's not easy. It's exhausting.
It really is. I thought, well, Facebook must be so much better than writing a blog post every day, but no, it's still consistent effort every day. No escape. And just swinging the topic a little bit for those of our club members that are administrators on groups, pages, etc. Any tips on online safety? What should they be looking out for?
I just love the block button. Just anyone that is being outrageous. You do not deserve any time in our page, our community. Goodbye. They don't get a notification that they've been blocked. They just get removed. And I just think it's a really powerful tool. And I think we're so, I don't know, humans tend to be so polite, like I want to go back and, I just block them. Goodbye. We're done. And I think those admins are in control of the page and what the page experience is. And just having the confidence just to remove anybody that is inappropriate or making anyone feel unsafe. You obviously have page guidelines, which are good, page rules that are good. And I think being super clear on that of what the page and what the group expects and what they don't is fine. And I think that's important. These are our community guidelines and you see them in pages. So, this is not okay, this is okay. And I think that's important. But yeah, just block them. Goodbye. Anyone being difficult? Not today. Like we had this, when I led the social media team at the NRL, we obviously wanted to protect our referees from kind of the kind of abuse that would happen. And obviously that's at a huge scale at the NRL. People are very passionate about their teams and the referees really do get a really hard time. So one piece we did with them was there's a process that you can go through on Facebook where you block words. So in the back end of Facebook, in the settings, you can put in anyone that uses a certain word, that comment just never goes through. It never is published. So we put in all of the referees' names. So anyone that mentioned any referee name would be blocked. So it could never get out. So I think if you're, again, like the NRL had millions of people. So that was like a process that we could put in place to protect them, which was important. But I think if you're dealing with smaller communities, kind of less than, 50,000, less than 100,000, blocking and having some really clear guidelines is enough. Because what's the worst you're going to get? Someone writing a bit of an abusive comment, you just block them and say, goodbye, Barry, not today. You're out.
Yeah, it's just more, I think the fear is that someone hijacks your page and then to your few little community members start sending out awful posts or something.
Look, I think, turn on two-factor authentication. That's important. Get the page protected. That's important. And I think just, having in place the processes that, if someone says anything that's inappropriate, block them.
Such power.
Oh, no, I don't know if it is power, but I just think, if you're going to be rude, we don't really want you.
We don't.
We don't. Life is too short.
Yeah. My last question is about websites.
Yeah.
Do you think that a small community group should invest in a website? Is it worthwhile? Not?
If we look, so social media and Google are awareness tools. They're traffic generators. And they're like one step of a traditional marketing funnel, like making people aware. Usually someone would then want those people to go to another location. If that location is the website or another digital space, that makes total sense, if that's where we want them to go. However, what we're seeing is more businesses not invest in creating a website because they're using the social platforms to do what they need to do. So let's use like a cafe for an example. Like a cafe is investing in Instagram to make people aware of the cafe. The next step is, once people are aware of it, they just need to go to the cafe. They don't need to go to a website. Like, what does the website offer that the Instagram profile doesn't? So I think it's just being really clear again, what is the purpose of the website? If people need to book classes, or people need to book sessions or buy something, cool, like the website makes sense. But if they don't, then save the money and save the time to making people aware in social platform. Do you see? So I think it all comes down to like what the purpose is and why we need it. Like why? And I think a lot of people tend to be like, oh, I just want one. It's like, why? It's just like, why? Yeah, it's just, and I think it's, look, like a lot of businesses have a fairly, and even now, like with the economy and what's happening in the world, we only have a finite amount of gold coins to spend on things. So we need to be really clear in where the cash is going and why it's going there. And that's the same for any business, whatever size you are, whether you're the NRL, you're the local cafe, or your Lions Club, whatever you are, you've only got a set amount of money and time. So it's really important that everyone's super focused on the why, the money that's going into it and the time that's going into it because of the why. And then once you've got that, everyone feels really comfortable because the why is really clear. Everyone gets quite agitated when the why is not clear and everyone's doing things for the sake of it. Everyone gets pretty frustrated, understandably, because it's not clear. So yeah, my thoughts on website are, why do you need it? And if people are booking restaurants or booking time or buying something, or fine, invest in it because there's a why. But if there's not a why, don't do it.
It's not worth it. It's just such a fantastic message to hear, is that you have to be clear as to why you're doing it before you embark on investing time or treasure in it. It
costs so much money and it takes so much time. So you've got to really make sure it's worth it. And, a lot of businesses can see the return and can understand why and do invest heavily into it from a time and money point of view. But if everyone's not aligned and clear on the why, then no one commits to it. No one understands it. You don't get full kind of focus on it. The why is really important.
Yes. And of course, the time is quite, it's quite a lot. You're not going to get away with posting something once a month or even once a week. No.
Well, the computer just won't serve it. So you just won't get the reach. So it's like throwing a pebble down into the ocean.
Emily, I can't thank you enough for this. It's wonderful. I will put all your details into the show notes because I've subscribed to your podcast, The Power Hour.
Amazing.
I'm going to become this social media maven eventually, really.
That's amazing.
But thank you so much for your time. I really, really, really appreciate it. I know how busy you are.
No, and if you've ever got any questions, please just reach out. Like, I offer a free Ask Me Anything service where people can just book time in my calendar just to ask a couple of questions. I actually have been doing that for the last year and a half. And I've met with over 1,500 just small business owners. So there's no obligation. It's not like any weird, like, do a 20 minutes and then I try and like flog you into something else. I don't do that. It's kind of a do good initiative, which runs, because I basically don't commercialize the hour each day, but then my other time is commercialized through other things. So yeah, please book into that whenever. If anyone's listening and wants to do that, they can.
That's fantastic. I hope you're not going to be overwhelmed by Lion Club admins or booking
it does. It does book out. It books out now about 4 weeks in advance. So the ones, I don't know when this episode's going live, but the ones for next month are sold. So
already gone. Well, thank you.
All righty, stay in contact. Thank you so much for including me.